Yeah, so here we are again. Hello, everyone. It's Beyond. Um, I was thinking about talking about 3P today, the three principles, amongst other things. I have been, like I said before, I started off when I was 18 or 19. I haven't told that maybe, but I had a massive panic attack about death. So we can start there. That was the beginning of my spiritual journey. I thought I was gonna die, and I thought about the prospect of dying, which is very scary for most people. Um, and then later on, I had this panic attack that when I'm gonna die, it's gonna be in the now. This is maybe a bit dark for someone. It was scary, and I was living in a share house with 7 people, and one of the women in the share house, she was like 4 years older than me, so 23, 24. She held me like we were spooning for an entire night. And in the morning, I woke up. She wasn't there. There was this note on the table which said that read The Art of Happiness with the Dalai Lama. And so it was Christmas time, almost. And so I put that on my wish list, and I got that book from my parents, I think, or from my sister, from someone, and I read it, and that was, what someone might call like 50p wisdom, like really like simple level, but it was very profound for me at that time, and I saw that I could just got a bit distracted there. Um, I saw that I read this book very slowly because I was contemplating, and sometimes it's good to take pauses or breaks and think about things that it's the contents in the book and stuff like that. So there's so many different topics I'm thinking about. But anyways, so from there on, I started reading Eckhart Tolle. I found different people. This was probably before YouTube, actually. So, but I found this other Buddhist monk, Ajahn Brahm, and Eckhart Tolle later on, and Osho, which you probably know, most of you. So there was a lot of spiritual stuff there. And so I started reading all kinds of books. I don't read very much nowadays, but I have so many books that people recommend to me. So at some point, I'm gonna read. I feel more like I want to have the books read than actually reading them. Sometimes it's nice to just be cozy and lie down and read books. But yeah, so then when YouTube came around 2008, I think I started watching this guy called Muji, which some of you might know. I don't know. He's an Advaita Vedanta teacher, and Advaita Vedanta means non-duality. So it's about the non-dual, and it's about it's a spiritual doctrine basically. I think it's the mystic branch of Hinduism, or I might be wrong, and you might need to explain it further. But anyways, and so for me, Muji was this father figure, and he was very very calm. He's still very calm. He has this deep voice, and he's very relaxed and stuff like that. But I bought into a lot of those ideas, and it's a lot about self inquiry and a lot about seeing something like you need to really confront that. What I got from it was somehow that I needed to confront my fears and stuff. So there was some kind of misunderstanding there, which wasn't really good for me. And whilst listening to him, I was probably not at that time. Was probably later on I discovered the Tao Te Ching. So that's Taoism, or the Jing Jang, the round symbol with a black with a white in it, and the white with the black in it, the dots. Um, that was also very very profound. Then many years later, I found the three principles, and that was around autumn 2019. A friend of mine introduced me to the three principles, and um, I don't know if I said this, but I mean this whole podcast series is going to be about schizoaffective disorder, because that's my condition and that's what I have. And the three principles really helped me. They helped me cope and helped me see. deeper within myself and get more awareness on different topics. And yeah, so I mean, my schizoaffective disorder started in 2013. I might need to go back there. I was a really revved up guy. I mean, I had so much energy. There was some drugs involved as well. So, but it wasn't really heavy drugs. It was more psychedelics, pot, cannabis. Not so much more than that. But I was really revved up, and I had probably brought that with me from childhood. Some kind of misunderstanding, and so about life, I felt that I didn't have what I needed. Basically, I felt like I needed to please other people for them to like me, or not only please, but like make them laugh, be funny, joke around, like all the time, kind of working for people to love me because I couldn't see my own worth. And I thought that it took me a few years, and then I saw my worth. But I'm still trying. I'm still on a trajectory where I'm trying to discover my own self-worth. And that's like the biggest, I would say, the biggest, most important thing for people to discover is your own self-worth. And still to this day, it is the same thing, and accepting yourself and seeing how magnificent you are. So that's very important. But I don't know exactly how it happened, but I was deeply in love with this woman whom I met 2011, and I had been to India. I think this was the second time I went there, 2011 and 2013. And what I was doing at the time was I was meditating 5 hours a day, which might sound crazy. I was like really, 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 like not keen on, but like my goal was to become enlightened. I'm gonna show everyone, which is very, that spiritual ego, or you have an identity which is, I'm great because I'm so spiritual, I'm so aware, and I'm gonna sit here and talk about wisdom to everyone, and they will love me because I'm so wise, basically. That was, and like I said before, that's like not really, it's very usual that this happens, but it's not maybe the best way to go around trying to help people from the point of view being superior, and what the three principles are pointing to. There's a lot of topics now. Let's see if we can go into the three principles. What the three principles are talking about is your own innate health, your own innate worth, and a lot of other things. It's a lot of there's a lot of things to say about it, but that we're all similar, and not even similar. We're all the same. I mean, we have our own self-expression, and we have our own sets of tools, and what we're good at and bad at, and so there's a variety of people. I mean, there's, I don't know, 6 billion, 8 billion people in the world now, but like in one way or another, we're the same. We struggle with the same problems. We live in the same reality, and so in the three principles, you might wonder, what are the three principles? In its divine mind, consciousness, and thought. You can say mind, consciousness, and thought, or divine on everyone. You get the point, but it's like, I'm a bit revved up. 1 second. Divine mind is what most people would call God. And when you say God, most atheist people are thinking about, I don't know, but this is my guess, that they're thinking of a guy that sits on a cloud with a big beard, a white beard probably, with a book under his arm, telling people what to do, and that's a dude, but no, I mean, for me, God is an energy which permeates everything, and so there's an awareness in God as well. So you have mind, consciousness. Conscious is being aware, and then you have thought, which we all have, and but divine mind, or God, or love, or the the universe, whatever you want to call it, is built from light and love, and it's emanating love. And I mean, everything is in this. It's a seamless experience. It's something you can't rip apart. And it's like the Buddha said that the entire world can be found in the leaf of the tree. And there's another one, which is that you're not a drop in the ocean, you're the ocean in a drop, which I find really beautiful. Yeah, I have I have ADHD, so I have thoughts going in all kinds of directions, and there's so much I want to say, but yeah, so you have divine mind then, which is kind of encompassing everything that everything is made of, and then you have consciousness. That is that you're aware, and you're aware of your thinking, but you're also aware, you're awake. This is my take on it. Someone else might say it differently. And so, I mean, you can split things down into different. I'm gonna try to see if I can do it like this. So you have monotheism, which is one God, basically, but usually that's a personified God. That's my understanding. That God created people like in the image of Himself, something like that. And then I'm gonna try to focus now. Yeah, and then you have polytheism, which is which we used to have Roman tradition and Greek tradition, and the Scandinavian northern tradition is many gods who are in charge of different things. And if you go back to hunters and gatherers, you have animism, which is that everything's alive and everything has a soul. Even stones have souls, and trees, and everything is alive. Then we have thought, and so so many things. Thought is what makes the world the way it is, and everything is made of thought. I would say to a degree, mind, consciousness, and thought. The thought can make me see that one wave is bigger than the other wave. It can make a distinction between a stone and a tree, or a bird, or a jet plane. And so thought is what makes up our reality, And if everyone is thinking, even animals, then that creates the reality. And so everything is connected via thought, which is our interpretation of what's going on, and there's nothing wrong with thought. I mean, many people might say that, I'm going to kill my ego. And then it's like, yeah, but then what are you? I don't know how it functions really, but it's, I mean, if you have an acceptance of thought, then you have flow. Because if you're going to stop your thinking or change your thinking or change yourself all the time, then there's no natural flow coming from divine mind, or from God, so yeah, it's so much stuff. I can get really excited when I'm talking about this, so but I'm gonna see what's important to say. But I mean, since I have my schizoaffective disorder, I've been having hallucinations, so that's been suffering for me. And I'm smiling because I'm happy. It's not. It was difficult, but what I think happened. Let's see. I think I have kind of lost many threads here, but is that I believed in my thinking. When I was meditating 5 hours a day for so long that I it started manifesting as my own reality. It became real. So whatever I was thinking, I would see it. And so there's this kind of ungrounding. Something happened where I kind of lost my touch with my my calmer aspects of myself. I was so revved up, and I was so in love with this girl. And I was meditating 5 hours a day, and I was, not at that time I wasn't smoking weed, but it was like I need to just break free from everything and become enlightened. so that I can see clearly, and I want to end my suffering. And that created a psychosis in me, basically because I was so far off that I kind of lost track of touch with everything, in a natural way. And I still have hallucinations, but very much, much less. But it was. I hope you can follow me now, because you can see it might be difficult. But so I was digging a hole. I was like, I'm gonna find gold here eventually, and digging and digging and digging in this muddy, dark hole, and I didn't find any gold. And I thought, eventually I'm gonna go get through, maybe to the other side of the earth. I don't know. But eventually I would be like, okay, I'm not finding any gold here, and I'm digging and digging and digging. So what do? I take a ladder and I go out of that pit, that hole I've been digging. So just like diving into suffering was my thought that if I just figured this out, or if I just laser it, I would go through the suffering. And I think with the Advaita Vedanta, that's where I got it wrong somehow, because you have people suffering so tremendously, and then someone says something, bam, and then they're like, it's like they totally come out of their mindset, and they can see everything so clearly. And I mean, that can happen, and it has happened partially to me as well. But like digging in negativity and thinking that you're gonna come out on the other side as a better person, it's not really, in my experience, the best thing to do. But then you have people who have seen their own darkness and dealt with it and let it go, because they've seen it, they know what it is, and they can let go of it. That's maybe a different thing. It's good to take a look at yourself sometimes, but yeah. Well, I mean, what happened to me when I had my greatest kind of satori, I think they would call it, like enlightening experience, was I was in India, and I met this spiritual teacher, and I invited him home to Sweden. We had many talks up in the Himalayas. It was very beautiful. And I, when he came over, I was in the midst of like panic attack after panic attack after panic attack. This was before I got my schizoaffective disorder, or kind of became a subject of that. But anyways, I was so afraid of death. And then at one moment, this teacher said to me, John, let's just imagine for 1 second that you're dead. Then what's your problem? And that was like, bam! I was totally hit, like pushed out of my suffering, because I couldn't like fathom, or I couldn't conceptualize what I was saying. I was like, my whole brain just stopped with my track of thinking, and I fell backwards, and I was looking at the trees, and I was just laughing and laughing and laughing, like that. And then I walked around for 2 days on, like on flowers. I don't know what to say, on clouds. You would say on clouds. And everything I was so alive. I was so there, and like it put me in a state which was amazing. But then I was like started to think, oh, what about my anxiety? What about my problems? What about my... And gradually that started to come back, and then I went into panic again. So it can be really powerful, these things. But thinking that you need to go through that deep suffering in order to be free, I mean, it can deepen a person, and I've surely been deepened by seeing my suffering to a degree. But yeah, I mean, if I could go back and change something, which I probably don't want to do, even though it's been suffering, would be that I want to tell myself as my younger self that, John, you're okay, you're fine, give myself a hug. And I mean, I even had that as a earlier experience. A few years ago, I was just realized that I was seeing myself as a 4-year-old boy, and what I did was I went up to myself and held my hand. That can be very healing, like seeing that, this little boy just wants attention, wants someone to listen to him, wants someone to stop in their tracks and just be with him, and see him and love him. And for me, I've been doing that with my nephews and nieces, like really been there for them and listened to them as much as I can. But like, try to be that person for them that I wanted, my parents to be towards me. And I'm not saying my parents did anything wrong, really. They did as good as they could. That's good to know when you're dealing with trauma, that, people do as good as they can. And trauma, which people say, usually can be like something your parents did to you or something they didn't do, that you would wish they would have done. Like being with you, played with you, or listened to what you were saying, something like that. But it can also be a misunderstanding that you're not loved or not cared for, or that, all kinds of things. Or someone, it can be all kinds of things. But like, and Gabor Mate, the psychologist watched his movie yesterday. He talks a lot about trauma, and I think he said in one talk, which I watched before, that it can be something which you don't remember, you can't recall because it was so early, but it kind of created an emotional reality for you, or your intellectual reality, because it shaped you. And that might be a misunderstanding. Like, I think I misunderstood something when I was a kid, because I was playing with these toys, and our house was a bit messy, and I put them up in perfect order. So toy soldiers and then dinosaurs in 2 lines, perfect lines. And I wanted, this was me trying to help my parents, showing them that, this, you can be orderly and put things in order, And I said to my mom, I was like, can you come in and watch what I'm doing? Or like, look at what I'm doing. And she said, give me 15 minutes or something. And I think I said to my dad, can you come in and watch what I'm doing? And he said, give me 15 minutes. And then I sat there, and I don't know, for a kid, how long the time span is, but it took maybe 15 minutes, maybe more. And I was sitting there and I was feeling like, okay, no one really cares about me and what I'm trying to show them. So that was a misunderstanding. That was one thing I remember. But like, that was me thinking that my parents didn't care. And of course they care. They love me, And not everyone is so lucky, but I got the misunderstanding that no one cared about me. That created my reality. So it's, it can be a misunderstanding, these things with trauma. Yeah, I'm probably going to go over the 3 principles again a bit better. But, and this was, branching out in all kinds of directions. But I'm going to see if I can come back to that later on. And I have no idea how long this recording was, because I forgot to put the timer on. So, yeah. But thank you guys for staying with me. And I hope you have a lovely day or night or whatever, And yeah, stay classy. Awesome. Bye.